You don't want me to rev it up again, just ask me nicely and I won't. I shall not. I went, okay, so I revved it up again just to upset him. So I've got the supercar bug. I've had the Diablo, I sold that to Shane Lynch, the pop star from Boyzone, right? And now I've got the supercar buzz from Ed, right? He's telling me about all the Lambos, he's a Lambo guy. I got Scott from Rattarossa jumping up and down about the Ferrari world. So, you know what? As the hard up garage cheapskate in the United Kingdom, I got to meet the amazing Terry Grant stunt driver. And I knew he had this fake Ferrari F40. And it's got these horrible bad boy stripes over the top of it. It's got Terry Grant written on the windscreen, had stripes down it, but it was a Pontiac Fiero chassis. And the chassis hadn't been stretched, okay? So it's the same kind of length as the Pontiac Fiero with a Ferrari F40 body. So the doors look like they're on like an Austin Metro, like a little English car, the tiny little doors, and an enormity of a body. It had been extended on the front 16 inches, on the back 8. It had been widened. It had 8-inch wheel spaces. Like, it was amazing, right? I'm like, what engine's it got? And it's got the roll bar in the back of it and these big fans. And any car that has to tell you it's a Ferrari F40 isn't a Ferrari F40. So it had stickers everywhere basically telling me what car this Ferrari was. Now I knew it was an F40. So we opened up the rear clamshell, which actually opened in the wrong way. So in a Ferrari F40, it hinges at the roof and opens up, okay? In this Ferrari F40, it had the hinges there, but it opened the other way, okay? So it fell backwards, and the original Pontiac Fiero boot was there with 16 coolant reservoir caps that someone had obviously gone to the petrol station and gone Pontiac, Fiesta, Austin, Rover, MG, and ordered every coolant reservoir cap he could in the world, but didn't have a Pontiac Fiero one. So there's all these brand new coolant reservoir caps. I'm like, cool, this has got overheating problems straight away. Brilliant. Open it up, and there is a Cadillac V8. And we're not talking front-wheel drive, ugly, like late 80s V8. We're talking 60s, 70s big block Cadillac, right? Mounted to a Renault Traffic van gearbox. So the gearbox and the engine is that way round. And then it's got a van Renault transmission that has been welded together on its side. So that basically you've got a manual gated F40 with a 350 horsepower Cadillac V8 in a Pontiac Fiero. So you've got the power of weight ratio of a real Ferrari, probably with, you start weighing up the pros and cons. It had 1 of 1 original, completely made wheels. So they were about 12.5 inches wide by like 15 inches. So they were just basically, the tires were as wide as they were tall. They were huge, right? The wheels were massive. And this car was designed to do stunt shows by Terry Grant. So what he'd do is he'd turn up, a real F40 would park up, go behind a lorry, and then he'd pull out in this car, do some donuts, show off. And what he'd do, right, this is Terry Grant's little trick, which I'm about to unveil his trick of the trade, okay? So your e-brake or your handbrake in a normal car, you'd use to stop the car going forward, okay? Well, when Mr. Terry Grant gets into a donut, okay, what you'll notice with a little bit of precision and watching it very, very carefully is that left-hand front wheel is always designed to stay still when you're doing a donut, okay? You want to stay in one position, and that is how you know a driver is very good. Well, what he did was when he turned the steering wheel, okay, there was a little V mark, and he put a little lug mark over, so the steering wheel he could let go of, and it would stay in that position, yeah? Then what he'd do is he had a little handbrake on the floor, which he pulled up, and that would lock that front left-hand wheel. He could then get out of the car, walk around the show, say hello to all his fans, get on the roof, do whatever you wanted, and then with precision, he'd jump back in the car, release the handbrake, take the steering wheel lock off, do an opposite donut, and go and park it. So for me, this car isn't about being an F40. This is about having the fun in a car that in England, okay, you have very, very European cars. And European cars are front-wheel drive, four-bangers, as the American call them, but they're, let's say, transverse, I believe. So the engine's here, the gearbox is here, and the wheels on that front axle are powered. So if you go and try and do a donut, you got no chance. So what we used to do in the day, we go to McDonald's, right? And we go buy a burger for 99p, but we walk out with 4 trays, okay? We drive on them with the back wheels, pull your handbrake up, and then we drive in a car park and do donuts with our Citroen Saxos and our Renault Clios, and we were super cool until they burnt all the way through and then ruin your tyres and then cost you 100 quid. But that's another story. This is possibly the best car I could buy. It's rear-wheel drive. It's got a big Cadillac V8 and it's got a welded diff, so I can do donuts, right? So my new car sales has got a big forecourt outside, which is a big car wash, hand car wash. They drive through, clean your cars. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do donuts, right? I've never done a successful donut in my life. I mean, I've attempted and shown off and come off very close, looking very clever, even though I'm a complete wally, right? But I'm doing a donut in this car and it's like I know what I'm doing. Okay, it's short, it's stubby, it's highly powered, it just wants to go round. And it's unbelievable. I feel like I'm the man, okay? So I upload a video of me doing a donut in Terry Grant's Ferrari F40. Once again, my phone's ringing. It's my pop star buddy, Shane Lynch from Boyzone. Ooh, you've got another supercar. I was like, yeah, it's my Ferraro Rocher. What do you mean your Ferraro Rocher? So, well, there's these chocolates out there called Ferrari Rocher, right? You either love them or you hate them. Either way, you're still going to buy your mum a pack, right? They look nice, they look the part, but, you know, it does the job. This car looks the part. It looks like a Ferrari F40 from certain angles. I mean, you've got to hop, skip, and jump and squint to see the kind of shape of a real Ferrari F40 if you know what they look like, but it looks okay. From the back, it looks good. From the front, it looks good. From the side, you've got massive issues, right? So Shane's like, I'm interested in the Ferrari Rocher. I said, well, I'm not painting it black, all right? I gave 10 grand for this car, like 12,500, 13,000 bucks for this fake Ferrari. It's got a logbook, yeah, title in England, and it's titled as a Ferrari F40. So no one could tell me I don't have an F40 because even my title says I've got an F40. It doesn't say it's a Ferrari F40, it's a Ferrari F40, but it's an F40. So I phoned my buddy Scott from a YouTube channel called Ratarossa. Yeah, the car doesn't run. It looks like a bit of a junker, and I know he's pretty good with Ferraris. I phoned him up and said, mate, this may be the only time in my life that I can say to you that I've got a Ferrari that needs your help. He said, bring it down. So I drove to his lovely house in this very, very picturesque environment. Lovely neighbours walking their dogs. And I turn up with my absolute piece of junk, open exhaust Ferrari F40, which, you know, it run like a piece of junk, right? So with his help, I opened the bonnet. He's like, you're a jackass. I was like, yeah, I know I'm a jackass. It's not a real Ferrari F40. And we had a bit of fun. His Ferrari knowledge and my hard up garage love merged together to get this car running again. We took all the stickers off, apart from a sticker that wouldn't remove itself, right? And www.terrygrant.com turned into www.terrysgran.com, okay? So now Terry's Gran is stickered down the side of the car and I can't get rid of it. So Terry's Gran, if you're out there and you've got a website, I've got the car for you, all right? But it gets better. So we de-sticker the car and to the best of our ability and we take it for a road test and it doesn't break down, okay? We open the engine bay and we can see where the silicon and the rubber part of this reservoir cap had overheated a million times. You know, these cars have a radiator at the front, an engine at the back, and 2 big pipes, which therefore cool the antifreeze for the engine and keep the temperature below what you need. So basically what I did was I took the coolant reservoir off, the cap was all broken, I took the rubber part out, found another one that fitted, and then siliconed it back on, and we went for like a 50-mile road trip. Didn't break down, we were doing donuts, we were upsetting the locals. We turned back up on his driveway and his neighbours are going nuts. It's a Sunday afternoon and I paid £400,000 for my house in the idyllic countryside and you're revving up this piece of junk. So I'll have you know, this is £500,000 worth of Ferrari F40 that you're turning up your nose about. You've got a Skoda Yeti over there, mister. Calm down. So if you don't want me to rev it up again, just ask me nicely and I won't. I shall not. I went, okay, so I revved it up again just to upset him, because that's what us petrol heads do when you get a grumpy chap that, you know, hasn't got a sense of humour or any love for automobiles. Then my buddy phones me and says there is a Ferrari versus Lamborghini show, right, where the Hubert Edition Lamborghini event store is going to be unveiled, right? Fabio Lamborghini is going to be there. He knows what a supercar looks like. I'm sure that even most of those people that drive supercars, Ferraris, Lambos, Bugattis, don't actually know what a Ferrari F40 looks like until it's right smack bang in front of you, right? So I de-sticker the car, I mop and polish it, and it's a bright red colour. It looks stunning. I take all the F40 stickers off, I take the number plates off at a petrol station and nearly get arrested. Police officer pulls in as I'm taking the number plates off. He's like, "Why are you taking the number plates off, mate?" So, well, it's a Pontiac underneath, and I'm taking it to a Ferrari show, and I'm going to blend in. He went, "All right, fair enough," and let me go. So I was all right. We turn up, and I drive down. It's called the Warren Estate, so it's a very picturesque place. There's deers running. It's about as beautiful in the English countryside as you can imagine. And I got my piece of junk recovery truck with my Ferraro Rocher on the back, yeah? I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to get it here. I'm going to pull it in. I'll park behind the burger vans, and I'll unload it and just blend it in with the rest of Ferraris. I get to the end of the driveway, and the organizer, Chiro, his daughter, Ella, lovely, lovely lady, 16 years old, and she's been around supercars her whole life. She turns up and she looks at me. She looks at the car. She says, "You all right, Sam? Nice fake Ferrari." I've been done at the gate of the show, right, by a 16-year-old girl that can't even drive, right, has already found out that my Ferrari Rocher is not real. She lets me through the gate and I unload it behind the burger vans. I sneak it to the paddle up section, okay? So the paddle up section, there are a bunch of guys in the UK that basically auction off cars for people that don't want to be known, right? And I park my Ferrari Rocher next to a real Ferrari F40. And everyone's walking over going, "Wow, that's amazing. Shame that's not real." And they thought that the paddle up Ferrari F40 wasn't real because it was stubby and the nose is really violent on a Ferrari F40. When you got my Ferrari Rocher and the Ferrari F40 parked next to it, the Ferrari's got quite a stubby nose, so it's quite a violent angle on the front, and the spoiler at the back is quite violent, and the window louvers are very pretty. My car looked like a run-of-the-mill production car, so the nose was like nice and sleek, and the back was sleek, and from a distance, people were like, "Oh, wow, can I sit in it?" I was letting kids climb on it, take photos, everyone's going crazy over it, and they weren't even looking at the paddle-up car that was next to it, which is a beautiful red car underneath its livery, right? And it's amazing because people were going crazy over my Ferrari F40. I'd achieved my goal. I got my fake Ferrari Rocher into a Ferrari and Lamborghini show, and I'd won. Guys even were parking their real Ferraris next to it and goes, "Do you mind if I take a photo of my Ferrari 355 next to the F40? I've never seen a real one." And it was just amazing. All my ducks were in a row. I'd done it. I'd achieved my goal. And then I got the opportunity to sell it to my mate, frickin' Shane Lynch from Boyzone, for another 20 grand. I made £10,000. I got to know an amazing Ferrari mechanic. I got it in a Ferrari versus Lamborghini show, and I even got a video of Fabio Lamborghini stood next to me talking about it. Like, it doesn't get any cooler than that, does it?
Who wants a free carbon fiber ring? Well, right now, Patrick Adair Designs is giving away a free carbon fiber ring with any purchase if you use the code VINWIKICF at checkout on their website. You can find them at the link in the description below. You can also follow along on Patrick Adair's YouTube channel. You've seen him here telling car stories, but over there, he documents his journey in entrepreneurism and some of the amazing things they do to create rings out of the most interesting materials from Earth and from space. So check them out now and thank them for their support of VINWiki.